Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. We are once again joined by Dusty the dog, as we like to call him. He's excited to get into it, as always. We have an important topic to talk about today, and that is President Trump's administration taking some significant steps towards reaching a deal with Iran and avoiding an all-out war in the Middle East, which is something Trump is working very hard to do. Before we get into all of that and much more, make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell above so you always know when a new video is coming, and comment with your thoughts below of how you want to see President Trump handle Iran, if you want to see a deal reached, and anything else you think about the situation. And now, Dusty, we got to show a little excitement, Dusty. Oh, he's just a little tired. Now, let's get into it. As we've been talking about a lot on this channel over the past couple of weeks, Trump's administration is pushing very hard to reach some kind of deal with Iran over the country's nuclear program to make sure that the Iranians are never able to get a nuke, which would cause all sorts of problem in the region. It has led to some significant tension with the Israelis, which we're going to get into some more reporting on that later in the video. And Trump's thinking is very simple. We don't want a massive war in the Middle East. We've already had enough of that. We don't need to do it again. And if there's a deal to be reached to stop Iran's program from ever being weaponized, he would much rather prefer that over taking military action against the Iranians. And there's also a significant update on our military stature and status and posture in the region. But the good news is it does appear like progress is being made and we are heading in the right direction. Let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen for you here. This comes from Barack Ravid, who is a reporter. He is very tuned into Israeli issues, Middle Eastern issues. And he writes, senior U.S. official says White House envoy Steve Witkoff. Witkoff, of course, is the one who is leading the negotiations for the United States on behalf of the Trump administration with Iran. Says Steve Witkoff held direct and indirect talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Garcia, probably butchered that, during the fourth round of nuclear talks in Oman on Sunday. Agreement was reached to move forward with the talks to continue working through technical elements. We are encouraged by today's outcome and look forward to our next meeting, which will happen in the near future. So they had a meeting. They had their fourth round of meeting. It's being mediated by Oman. Sounds like things are going very well, moving in the right direction, and they will continue the path for the diplomatic path over the military option. And this report from Barack Ravid, I'll also throw this up on the screen for you right now. This is an Iranian spokesperson, Ismail Bakay, I believe is how you would pronounce that last name. He said, backing up Barack Ravid's reporting, the fourth round of indirect Iran-U.S. negotiations is concluded. Difficult but useful talks to better understand each other's positions and to find reasonable and realistic ways to address the differences. Next round will be coordinated and announced by Oman. So right there you have the United States and Iran continuing to make progress. This comes over the backdrop of military threat, obviously. But is there a chance that kind of the military option has already disappeared and won't be happening? Well, we have a major update on that. Let's get into that right now. Over the past several weeks, there's been a military buildup of United States air power at Diego Garcia, which is an island in the Indian Ocean. It is within range for B-2s, B-52s to get to Iran if President Trump chose a military option. They loaded it up with stealth bombers, B-52s, etc., air refuelers, and people took this as a sign that the United States was seriously preparing to possibly hit Iran with air power and bunker busters to take out their underground facilities. However, we have a major change. According to multiple reports, I'll go ahead and throw this up on the screen for you. All of the B-2 bombers that were stationed at Diego Garcia have left. I believe 3 of them are already back in Missouri, and then 3 others were flown to Australia. So President Trump and the United States military have removed the bombers from Diego Garcia, which would appear to indicate that the likelihood of a war or a military strike is as low as it's ever been during this situation in the Middle East with Iran. Because if the bombers aren't there, Obviously, it seems like we're not going to use them, right? Now, could we still launch them and refuel them from other places? Yes, of course we could. But Diego Garcia is where they would have gone from if a military strike was going to happen. And now they have all left, which would appear to suggest we have de-escalated the situation to the lowest point since the negotiations with Iran started. And of course, this is leading to some serious tension between President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's get into that right now. There has been growing tension between President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu because the Israelis, as we've discussed, they much rather prefer the military option to take out Iran's facilities and nuclear program. The United States obviously prefers the diplomatic solution, and that has led to some butting of the heads, including Hegseth either canceling or delaying, depending on what reports you're following, a trip to Israel. And President Trump will be in the Middle East this week, so there are a ton of moving parts. This is a report, I'll throw this up on the screen from you. This comes from NBC News. It is about the tension in the relationship between Trump and Netanyahu. It says, in recent weeks, the relationship between Trump and Netanyahu has become strained as the two leaders are increasingly at odds over a strategy for tackling these challenges now that Hamas has been significantly degraded and Iran weakened, according to two U.S. officials, two Middle Eastern diplomats, and two other people with knowledge of the tensions. Where Netanyahu sees an opportunity to finally take out Iran's nuclear facilities, Trump sees an opportunity to remove the threat of Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon by making a deal. As Israel hits Gaza with a new military offensive, Trump is pushing for a ceasefire and looking to implement his post-war plan for rebuilding the area into a Riviera of the Middle East. And after Trump halted the U.S. military campaign against the Iranian-backed Houthi militant group, a shocked Netanyahu said Israel would then defend itself. The recent differences between the two leaders on key strategies and positions has put Trump's relationship with one of America's closest allies at a bit of a crossroads. How they navigate their disagreement going forward will shape the outcome of some of the core components of the president's foreign policy. Sorry, I'm dealing with a bit of a voice issue, but stick with me. We're going to push through. So that's more reporting that Trump and Netanyahu just clearly are not on the same page with how to deal with Iran. They clearly are on, they're kind of 180 degrees removed from each other, right? On one end of the spectrum, we have Trump who wants a peace deal. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Netanyahu who wants to strike Iran. And obviously, like I said, Trump is going to be in the Middle East this week. So this is playing out with that in the backdrop. So where do we go from here? What happens next? What is the likelihood a deal will be reached? Let's get into that right now. When looking at all the information we have in front of us, it seems pretty hard to believe at this time that a deal with Iran to avoid a war in the Middle East over its nuclear program is not going to happen. It certainly looks like it is. We have multiple rounds of peace talks that are progressing. We have Trump going to the Middle East. The Gulf states support a diplomatic solution. They do not want a war. Saudi Arabia does not want a war. Jordan, the UAE, none of these countries want a war with Iran because they all know they'll be targeted. Add in the fact that the bombers have left Diego Garcia, and it's hard to imagine that we're headed in the direction of a military strike. All signs, all the evidence points towards a deal getting done. If we weren't making progress on a deal with Iran, those bombers would still be at Diego Garcia. That might be the best piece of evidence we have that progress on diplomacy is actually going to work. The question then becomes, how will Israel react if a peace deal is reached and there is no military strike and Netanyahu doesn't get what he wants? Would Israel attempt to do it themselves? I think it's highly unlikely because, as we know about the plan that was pitched previously that Trump said no to, the Israelis know that they would need great American support in order for that to happen. And Trump has made it clear that support is not coming and the United States is not going to back them up in the event that they decide to go in alone. If it has to happen militarily, the United States is going to have to do it. And Trump is attempting to avoid that at all costs. I think I said the other day, 70% of a peace deal. I'm going to raise that now at this point to probably 80%, maybe even 85%. Like I said, the bombers leaving is a huge sign that a deal is going to be reached. But I want you to let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Trump's attempts to avoid war will be successful, or do you think that ultimately the United States will not reach a deal and have to strike the Iranians? And let me know what you think the Israelis will do in the event a deal is reached. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell so you always know when a new video is coming. And as always, I'll see y'all next time.